In this video, I'm going to teach you the Fingerspin curl with the winter solstice yo-yo, and there's two ways to do it. You can do the upper curl, which looks like this, just like that. And of course, you can also do the lower curl, which looks like this. And the nice thing about the lower curl is you can transition into DNA. So if you want to learn these tricks, make sure you have mastered the fingerspin by watching our fingerspin tutorial. And once you've mastered that, you'll find that these tricks, they can be tricky, but they're not terribly difficult to learn. Now, once you're starting to land your fingerspin, the first thing that you want to do is actually just work on getting your finger to rotate in the proper manner. And the key is you want to try to keep your finger as vertical as possible. And that can be tricky at first, but the nice thing about this trick is you don't have to do it perfect if you use all the tips in this video. So you want to start your upper one just by putting your finger up in the air. As you turn to the outside, you're going to get to a point where you just can't turn anymore. So the way you can get the rest of it is you can just come down and then you can finish your rotation. And the nice thing is that movement of going up to down right at that point, that helps to keep your finger a little bit more vertical. And you just reverse the motion for the lower curl and everything works basically the same. Now you'll notice when I do it that I'm not keeping my finger perfectly vertical, and that's because you don't really have to as long as you do the trick the right way. And so what I would recommend when you do this trick, you want to do it while your yo-yo has landed on your finger at an angle. And there's a few reasons why that's superior than landing it perfectly flat. The first one is that the yo-yo has a tendency to stay more still on your finger when it's at an angle, just like we taught you in our fingerspin video. But the other thing is that when the yo-yo is at an angle, it precesses, it starts to turn like this. And so what you can do is you can actually use that turning to your advantage. And so as you're doing the motion, you can follow the turn of the yo-yo so that where the yo-yo is angled up, that's kind of where you keep your palm the whole time. And that way the yo-yo doesn't run into your palm, which is a major problem with this trick when you're first learning how to do it. And that's actually why you want to throw across your body when you do the upper curl, and you want to throw to the other side when you do the lower curl, because then it's easier to match the turning, the precess of the yo-yo as you're doing the trick. Now, one of the first problems you're going to run into as you're doing this trick is your hand is going to be bumping into the yo-yo, or the yo-yo is just going to be kind of moving around and then falling right off as you're attempting the trick. The main reason for this is that you're not keeping your finger vertical enough, or you're moving just a little bit too quickly. And that's why it's really nice to let the precession of the yo-yo be a guide. You can see that the yo-yo kind of moves around slowly, so you can move around slowly as well, and that helps you to just kind of keep control of things as they're happening. Now, another thing that's also going to be very, very common is as you're doing the trick, the string is going to end up wrapping right around your finger. And this is just because it's a fingerspin trick. And you learned in our fingerspin video that if you don't keep the string off of the bottom half of the yo-yo, then the yo-yo is going to pull that string around and it's going to wrap around your finger. And that exact same thing is true of this trick. Now, the difficult thing about the fingerspin curl is that you can't just lift your yo-yo hand higher than your opposite hand, because at different points in the rotation, that simply isn't going to work, especially as you're transitioning from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top. And so what you need to do is you need to pull the string so that almost all of the slack is gone, but not all of it. If you pull it so that you remove all the slack, then you're going to pull the yo-yo right off your finger. Now, one other kind of little bonus of catching the yo-yo while it's still at an angle and then using the precession to do the trick is if you have other fingerspin tricks that you know that require the yo-yo to be flat, you can use that time while you're doing the curl to let the yo-yo level out, and then you're ready to transition right into another trick. Now, if you've mastered your finger spins, but you're still having trouble landing this particular trick, just know that the yo-yo that you're using can make a pretty significant difference, especially at the point where you transition from the upper to the lower part of the curl, or from the lower to the upper, because at that moment, the string does need to push around the outside of the yo-yo, and it does this by grabbing onto the bottom part of the yo-yo and then kind of having the yo-yo push it around. So if you have a yo-yo with a stickier finish, at least stickier in terms of how it relates to the string, when it does that kick around, it might have a tendency to kick the string around too much and then it'll wrap around your finger, where if you have a smoother finish, then that will help a lot more, so that you can be just a little bit more sloppy. The string can touch the bottom of the yo-yo a little bit more, but it won't force it around any more than it needs to. Now, another thing that will also help is if you have a yo-yo with a wider profile, that means that the place where the string is touching it, the angle isn't quite as steep, which means that the pressure the string is putting on the yo-yo isn't as great. And so a wider yo-yo will also make this trick just a little bit easier. And finally, it's just nice to have a yo-yo with a finger centering design so that when the yo-yo levels itself out, you can then do longer finger spins and transition into other tricks. So I hope all of this has helped you out, and that is the Fingerspin curl.